So we're supposed to be good to go now. Okay, I was saying that we're going to continue on the vein of foresighting from yesterday, because I don't think we're ready. I mentioned it, but I'm not too sure that we did a thorough job of explaining the utility and how it ties into what we are doing in CSD 112 and 111. Okay?
Okay.
I'm going to spend a little time on that.
Okay.
On that now, because I think it's an important skill to at least start getting the inklings on. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to share my, but first I'm going to send you the link to a video. Maybe I should just play the video on my screen. If I play the video on my screen, I'll see if you'll tell me if you're hearing it, right? Hearing and seeing it, okay? Just give me a second.
Okay. Okay.
Okay, guys, I'm going to share my screen now and play a video for you. This is a video of me explaining to a group of farmers in Tobago about 6 years ago some aspects of this foresighting business. So could you just quickly let me know if you're hearing and seeing when I do share the screen, okay?
Okay.
You guys seeing my screen?
I'm seeing.
I am seeing.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. I'm gonna play a video. I'm gonna play a video.
I'm seeing.
Okay.
We're talking about we're going to be doing a strategic planning session. You always get in the whole sort of fancy talk about.
Were you hearing that?
Yes.
Okay, great. All right. So I'll continue.
Yeah.
Strengths and weaknesses and opportunities and threats and and people go around talking and talking and talking and you have all these fancy ideas coming up. We aren't going to be approaching it quite like that. We are going to be using another approach, an approach that as I keep saying, I'm somewhat qualified to talk about. The major issues in strategic planning have to do with how can you identify these emerging opportunities and threats? In other words, where are you going to get a crystal ball from? Which will be a man you're going to go to that could look into the future and tell you, this is what is going to happen to cassava or cassava production in the next 5 years, in the next 10 years. How were we able to sit down in St. Vincent and figure out what was going to happen to the banana industry 5 years down the road, 10 years down the road? What kind of processes you have to go through to be able to at least come up with some scenarios, and I'm going to be using this word a lot today, scenarios. In other words, you're going to have a little story playing in your head as to what the future looks like. And we are going to work backwards. Check me, you're still with me? Everybody? Everybody still with me? Instead of staying in 2014, looking back at the kind of production we had in 2010, 2011, 2012, 2013, and see what the trend is, which is what forecasting is about, we are going to stand up in 2014 and think about 2020. Think about 2024. Stand up across there and ask ourselves, what would 2020 look like for cassava production, for cassava utilization? And if we agree collectively on what it would look like, what it might look like, listen to me carefully, what it might look like, then we have to now actually backcast. In other words, we have to look back into 2014 and say, what should we have been doing in 2014 to get us to this? You still with me? People still doing me this, but I want to break you out of that habit because, as I say, I've spent years of watching students do this, and I know what that means, right? No, but seriously, this is not an arbitrary concept, eh? This is not some little Viking thing that, I could imagine anything I want then. Okay, I see myself here in 2020, I own half of Tobago. You still have to ask yourself, okay, so will that really make you happy? Will owning half of Tobago really make you happy? How many people are going to have to displace to own half of Tobago? How heavy you got to sleep at night if you have half of Tobago dispossessed and you own half of Tobago? So that clearly the vision you have of yourself for the industry in 2020 and 2024 has to be, sustainable. It has to be, consistent with your own values, right? So that is why some fool from Trinidad can't come to tell you what the cassava industry will look like in Tobago. You have to decide that. And the difference between foresighting and forecasting is that you are taking responsibility for the future. You are deciding what kind of future you want, and then looking back at what you would have to do, how much nights you'd have to set up, how much more acres you'd have to plant, how many new varieties you'd have to find, how many new products you'd have to find to be able to get you to this point that you're standing at. Can I go over that one more time? Because I see people starting to watch me as if, well, I understand what you're talking about. We just call that dreaming, right? That ain't nothing to do with foresight, and that is dreaming. There's a big differences between the two, eh? And I hope we get a chance to just take a look at that. Am I being a visionary or just being a dreamer? I mean, if I put myself in your position, I'm sitting down there, anyway, have plenty of things I could be doing this Wednesday morning. You come here to hear some fool say that, if you start up in 2020 and you imagine anything you want, you could get it. That doesn't make any sense to me. And it ain't supposed to make sense to you either. But it is part of a process. It is part of a skill. It is part of something that one can learn, and it works. Now, that's why I spent a little bit of time before telling you what my background is. I am not telling you about something that I read in a book. I'm telling you about a process that has been tried, tested, and works. Let me go over that. Tried, tested, and works. And I am living proof of it. I'm still here sporting my Winford shirt. I can go anywhere in the Windward Islands. Nobody want to stone me. Nobody want to pelt me down with rotten nothing. Because it is part of a process that has worked and continues to work. In 2004, the Scientific Research Council in Jamaica invited me to facilitate the Regional Biotechnology Roadmap. This was the plan for the entire Caribbean, including Santo Domingo, to develop a biotechnology roadmap. In other words, how we are going to proceed with biotechnology throughout the region. There again, same type of processes. Yours truly in front of a whole bunch of scientists who knew more about biotechnology than I did, obviously, and we were able to craft a roadmap. In 2007, NIHRS, again, I keep telling you I'm very lucky. I always tend to be in the right place at the right time, apparently. NIHRS, again, hire a boy to be the lead consultant for the biotechnology foresighting. So I've been down this road before, and I'm telling you, it is possible. But it is not something that you just catch up apps and do. That's why we're going to take the time now for me to try and walk you through the process, and then you will get a chance to do it yourself later on this morning. So the visionary and the dreamer start off the same way. You can lay back, close the eyes, and say, "Oh Lord, yes, boy, producing cassava by the case." And up until that point, the visionary and the dreamer are in the same boat. Both of you there with your eyes closed. You're seeing yourself, you know what I mean? You don't even want to take phone calls and them because you're too big for that now, you know? You start seeing how many assistants you have doing this, that, and the other and thing. That's okay. The next step, though, is that of the two, only one is prepared to act. The dreamer is going to stay there and keep imagining, you know, I mean, the days when a boy are making money by the grab. If you don't do anything about it, you stay in that dreamer category and you don't get into that visionary category at all. Good morning. The visionary have to rally people to the cause. Whereas the dreamers genuinely try to keep it to themselves because this is such a good dream. You don't want to share this with nobody, you know. I want to own half of Tobago and the other half I want to buy it, you know. So visionaries tend to move a little differently. They want to move collectively, like how we're here.
Hello, the Garrett. I attend Montrose SD Primary School, and I
Yes,
live
guy.
in Natal, St. Patrick.
Okay.
Are you in?
Everybody saw that?
I'm in grade 2.
What can you tell me about climate?
Yes.
All right, so that was the beginning of, you know, the explanations about foresighting. What I shared with them are some slides that I'm going to share with you guys as well. And then we can have a discussion afterwards, unless there are any questions you want to ask now before we go on to the slide. Anybody?
No questions.
No questions. I think that was pretty similar to what you discussed. Yeah, yesterday before.
Right, exactly. Okay, so let me share this PowerPoint now. Okay, remember. Okay, I'm going to share my screen with you now, and we shall see. Okay, can you guys see that?
Yes, sir.
Okay, great. All right.
Yeah.
This
Yes, I'm seeing it.
is the same presentation that you saw the clip from. Okay, I'm just going to show you how you tackle this whole foresighting thing in a group setting, similar to a CSO, because your CSO at some point is going to have to do some sort of strategic visioning in terms of how you want to proceed, including how you're going to approach donors and what aspects you're going to look for funding, etc. So in this session, I was looking at foresighting as a strategic thinking tool. Now, watch carefully here. It doesn't say strategic planning, it says strategic thinking. Okay, and this is with the choice of facilitator. We could go past this because it's not relevant to what we're talking about today. Okay, this is where we want to start. So the process is as important as the outcome. In other words, when you go through this strategic thinking exercise, this foresighting exercise, you want to be sure that you get the process done correctly. You don't want to just take 5 minutes and in 5 minutes time come up with a plan, you know, or a strategic vision. You want to go through the process, and there's a way to go through it, and I'm going to try and share that with you in the next, couple of minutes. So you see, there's foresight, there's strategy, and there's planning. So foresight is a strategic thinking process, not a strategic planning process. It is about options and not about actions. It asks the question, what might we need to do? And doesn't ask, what will we do or how will we do it? Let me just repeat that so it sinks in. Remember, you're going to get a copy of this, so you could take your time with it at your leisure. But for the purposes of class today, we're talking about foresighting as a strategic thinking process, not a strategic planning process. It is about options, not about actions. And it asks the question, what might we need to do? And it doesn't ask the question, what will we do or how will we do it? That's for another phase. So to do strategic thinking with foresighting, you already develop scenarios. And what are scenarios? These are ways to view the world in the form of stories. Once we can imagine possible worlds, we can devise a strategy for each outcome. So scenarios are not predictions of the future, but they provide clues on the drivers of change. In other words, by getting the right people to come up with these scenarios, with these stories, what a possible future could look like, it gives you clues as to what are the drivers of change, what are the things that would have to happen for those scenarios to actually play out. Now, if you need me to stop or repeat at any time, please stop me. Guys?
Okay.
Right. We heard. Yeah.
Very good. We are good so far.
Yeah.
At least I am.
Okay, so how are scenarios useful? So by combining the past and the possible futures, we can think about strategies and increase our responsiveness, flexibility, and competitive advantage. Now, responsiveness in the context of your CSO, because remember, all of this is geared to help your CSO operate properly. That's why we're doing this. That's why we're interested in these 2 courses to start your associate degree program, because we want you to be able to structure a CSO and we want you to be able to fund it. All right? So by responsiveness would have to do with how the CSO is set up and what mechanisms you have in place to respond to change. The flexibility, again, would be related to the type of leadership that you eventually elect. I'm not talking about the planning committee that you have now. I'm talking about the eventual leadership. And then what would be a competitive advantage? The competitive advantage for this CSO, for your CSO, is that you are coming from a perspective that has not been publicly declared before. You're talking about sustainable community development practice. And you're coming there armed with this associate degree, or at least some of the courses in it. And you're saying that that is what gives you an advantage over the other CSOs. That's why you can offer them services. So when we get started as a CSO, this is probably in another course. We won't be able to do it in this particular course. But when we get into one of the courses you'll do in your associate degree has to do with strategic planning. We do this strategic thinking exercise before we get on to the actual strategic planning, right? So on that particular day, we went on to do some other tasks. And of course, you know, they're not relevant for our discussion. But I'll just tell you how, as the facilitator, I went about it. So the first thing we had to do was develop scenarios after consulting with your stakeholders. See that word comes up again? So I said, none of this is by guess. I'm trying to structure a program of development that you see how everything unfolds in a real life kind of way. Because as I said, this was something that was done for an industry in Tobago 6 years ago, right? So my job would be to develop the scenarios after consultation with the stakeholders, list the strategic implications, including, there's that magic word again. You seen that? Mission.
Right.
Yes.
The strategic objectives, problems, the opportunities they address, the goal by a due date, and then how are you going to have a performance standard for your goals? And this, your CSO is going to be driven by a standard, by a particular standard, right? So these are the actual points that came out of the groups, you know, which, as I say, have no relevance to what we are going to be doing, but I just want you to see that it's not something that just goes on and on and on without anything really significant. Because here we had all the possible, not all, but many of the possible products that the cassava industry would lead to. So things like using the young leaves as a spinach, I mean, that's not something that is done commonly, right? Preparation of breakfast cereals and granola, the cosmetics, the soaps, the skincare products, the byproducts.
Cassava can make soaps?
Yep.
Okay.
Skincare
That's
products.
something new I learned.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. But there was a whole, remember we had the experts around the table there, and I would have done the interviews with the stakeholders. So you see, I didn't just go and stand up in front of a bunch of farmers, you know, and just bluff my way. I came armed with this information already, right? And then we talked about the increased drivers identified during the session. With the amount of diabetes and obesity, and think cassava was seen as a healthy alternative. The escalating grain prices you had then, the need for non-perishable food stores. All of this was in the context of impending climate change as well. Because for those of you who know anything about agriculture, you would know that when you talk about a bankable crop, usually you have cassava as one of your real standby crops. Because regardless of what happens, rain, sunshine, whatever, you're almost guaranteed to get something from cassava. Even if the root is as thin as a pencil, you're going to get something. And sometimes the top of the tree can look very, very damaged, but you're still going to be able to get some cassava. And it's something that can stay in the ground for a while.
Mm-hmm. Very true.
Right? So these are some of the external drivers that identified, blah, 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 blah. But I'm just going to start here, I'll just give you a teaser as to what a 4-quadrant scenario matrix looks like. So the matrix lays out possible scenarios, like if you do X, if you do Y, if you do Z, if you do A, and it's laid out something like this, right? And going up is increasing sustainability, and going to the right is increasing economic viability. So what you really want to do is to have things that appear in the quadrant at the top right-hand corner, scenario 4, where you have maximum sustainability and maximum economic viability. And I don't think we have, I don't think we could go too much into that right now, because as I say, this is for a particular industry, right? And there, again, those 5 Drucker questions I keep asking you about, right? This is really almost my biblical approach to group formation, strategic planning, everything. Because at the core of everything I try to do is that I want to know what is your mission. I know you're tired of hearing that now, right? What is your mission? What is your mission? Who are your primary stakeholders? Who are your customers? What do they consider value? What have been the results? And what is the plan? And I'm going to be constantly asking you that for your new CSO. Who you really out there serving? What do they consider value? How are you going to know when you're actually providing something of value? And then what is your plan? Right? So I'm going to stop on that. And we're going to go back to regular programming, where we talk to one another as part of this extremely interesting, at least as far as I'm concerned, interesting class and interesting concept of how you develop a CSO, and how you actually put in place the fine points of the foundation for the CSO and how you go about finding money to fund it. So I've said a mouthful, seen a clip, you've seen some of my slides from the very distant past. Comments, questions?
I'm okay.
When you're okay, I mean you understand foresighting top to bottom already.
I would say yes, understanding, catching on.
This was only meant to be a teaser, for you to know that the thing exists. But this hasn't been a demonstration or a tutorial. So I want you to keep that in mind. I don't want you to go off, rushing off, considering as a strategic option.
Okay.
And more so to emphasize on the difference that you've stressed in terms of it is not a strategic plan, right? Because I understand what a strategic plan is, and strategic plan you have to
is a way to approach strategic planning.
Right. Because you have to put all the tools, you have to put all your tools in there, how you're gonna do it, who's gonna
Who are going to develop the scenarios.
Right.
You cannot, as a facilitator, as somebody in a CSO, you cannot develop the scenarios yourself. But then that would be just guessing and dreaming. All of these things were based on hard science. I didn't put in about soaps and things because I just thought it would be nice to have a cassava soap. I actually spoke to the people who were making the soaps and the scientists who knew how to make it. So that when you put that as an option in one of these scenarios, you're not flying blind, you're not guessing, and you're not dreaming. You're certainly not dreaming. And I hope that came across really, really clear. Okay, so we're gonna have to stop this session now. Karen, can I ask you to log us on to the next session? And while I record this, we can talk on
no problem.
We can talk on WhatsApp because I won't be able to.
No problem.
Everybody cool with that?
All right.
Questions before we switch over, people?
Not really a question, it's just an observation, right?
Right.
The way you would link the process of a visionary and that of a dreamer, I thought it was very unique, and it makes you think a lot of the process. And I like the fact that it says the process can be learned, and it actually works. So there is evidence that it actually works.
Yeah, it does. But as I said, it's like everything else. I mean, strategic planning works too. But how many strategic plans that actually come to pass? Regardless of how expensive the consultants were when you're doing the plan. I mean, man proposes, God disposes. But I mean,
yep.
We take that up when we go to the other session. All right.
Sure.
So let's.
Sure.
I'm gonna leave now, and we're going to go back to WhatsApp conversations while this is recording, and then Karen will invite us to his meeting.
Okay.
Okay, guys.
Okay. Okay.
Bye.